Hey guys, Chris at the Rockford Ordnance. Have you figured out what you're gonna do yet with 7.62 by 39? And by that I mean we've all had a chance for the announcement that it's going away to kind of sink in a little bit, mull it over, kind of figure out what we're gonna do going forward. If you're a big fan of comm-block platforms like the AK, SKS, or even some domestically made products like Ruger's bolt-action ranch rifles in 7.62 by 39, or maybe you like Mosin's in 7.62 by 54, whatever the case may be, have you put any thought into what you're going to do going forward? Now, maybe you're like me, and over the years you've been putting it away, kind of figuring that this day would come. And if you look back a few videos a few months ago, I was mostly talking about rifles, but I also talked about ammunition that we would probably see STEELCASE go away in the not too distant future. Sure enough, it happened. And no, I didn't want it to happen. It was just one of those things. I'm sad to say that I was right, but it's just one of those things that hopefully you plan for. Now, I did. I've got a substantial supply of 7.62 by 39, but the majority of that I would like to, hold for that what if scenario kind of thing. I'm not going to quit shooting it completely. I've got enough to where I can comfortably shoot probably the rest of my life and still have enough for any situation like that. But as you're using it, it might be nice to be able to put back or to at least cover what you're shooting. And there's multiple ways of doing that. We have one new one that came up this week, and that it's a great thing, a great announcement. Palmetto State Armory announced that they are starting the plans and the actual infrastructure to make STEELCASE ammunition here in the States. They are getting together with a European country, or plant I should say, a European country that is currently producing STEELCASE outside the US, and they're going to build a plant here. Substantial influx of money, huge investment, but very forward-looking by a company that, quite frankly, has been kind of on the edge of that. They've seen maybe a niche they could fill or something they could make better, and they have done that all along. Starting with their ARs, kind of their motto or mantra was they wanted an AR in every home, right? Well, they succeeded. You could buy a decent AR for $300-400 bucks. Then they went after AKs and they built the American-made AK that runs fabulous. Just a really, really cool company, and now they're going to be making 7.62 by 39. So there's good and bad to that. The good is that there's still orders from previous Form 6s left, that those orders will be filled over the next year or two, right? So that buys some time. It's still coming in. It's not magically vanishing off the shelves. Still coming in. You can still get it, although it's settled at kind of a higher price. Hopefully we see that come down as more and more companies maybe announce their plans as to jumping into that market. Why not? It should be profitable. So hopefully it settles a little lower. So we've got stuff still coming in. We've got companies like Palmetto going to be producing, and there's other countries that are not affected by the ban. Serbia and all different countries. Maybe we'll see Mexico, Aguila jump in. That'd be great. And companies right here have the wherewithal to do it. Winchester makes STEELCASE right now. A few other companies. Just not a ton of it, right? There's also reloading, and you guys know I'm a big reloader, if you can see the bench back there. And I've reloaded things that made sense. So, when things were normal before all this craziness, I wouldn't reload 9. It was too cheap to reload. 5.56, 223. Didn't really reload it. A little bit here and there for accuracy, I would do some. 7.62 by 39, never thought of doing it. But when all this started going on, I kind of had the forethought to start gathering components for reloading, because I knew after the ammo shelves were empty that would be the next thing hit. So I managed, right when it was all going on, I just walked up to the shelf and there was 7.62 by 39. I grabbed it. These are RCBS dies, and what I'm going to talk to you about here is reloading 7.62 by 39. While it's no more involved to reload than any other cartridge, there's some unique things with the transfer from steel case to brass, and from even comblock rifles to rifles chambered in 7.62 by 39, either made in this country or let's say maybe more modern rifles. So it adds a little quirk to it, and we're going to go through it. I do just about everything RCBS. Why? My dad did. That's all he ever had. I'm one of these OCD people that if I start with a brand, I've got to almost have all of that brand where it makes sense for the most part. And I pretty much have all RCBS dies. They make a quality die. They're great stuff. But the big thing with 7.62 by 39 is pretty much anything steel case or anything comblock, the bullet diameters are a little bit different than stuff made here or more present day. So you think, well, it's a 30 caliber bullet, right? I buy my steel case ammo and it's a 30 caliber bullet, whatever grain weight and yada yada, right? Well, Russian steel case, any of the steel case is pretty much a 30 caliber bullet here in the US is, they'll give the actual numbers and it's 308, right? 308 caliber, or 308 is the measurement. However, on steel case, it's usually 311. You see 310, 312, but let's say 311 for round numbers. Happens to coincide, by the way, with the 303 British rounds. 123, 122, 124 grain is kind of the norm with steel case. And there's a couple companies out there making full metal jacket bullets in that 310, 311 range, and the different grain weights, right? But hard to find. They've always been kind of hard to find. You could order them, certain places would stock them, but it wasn't every day walk in, pick it off the shelf. So it's always been a little tough. And now throw in the modern rifles, like most AR platforms. I don't care what you barrel it with, whether it's a ballistic advantage barrel or a Faxon barrel or what have you. They are all 308 on their measurements, okay? So you gotta be careful. You don't wanna fire a bullet with a diameter of 311 through a 308 barrel. Not that you can't, it just can cause some spiking of pressures and whatnot. And frankly, that's not what it was cut for. It was cut for 308. So you grab an older AK, SKS, any of that stuff, they're all, the barrels are all 311 for the most part. You can fire a 308 through it, not the tightest thing, and it can affect accuracy is the big thing. So what do? Well, you can load 308 and probably, you know, work up a load that'll be fairly accurate. Or you can search out the 311 bullets and do much better, okay? I hadn't really put much thought into it, never worried about it. Why? Because there was this endless supply of Wolf and Golden Tiger and on and on and on, right? Red Army Standard, all this stuff. Never thought much about it. So I grabbed the dies and I was actively looking for components. I had some brass put away, but I was having a hard time just kind of coinciding with when they had the brass in stock and when I saw it and purchased it. Anyways, yesterday I ran into a bunch of Winchester 7.62 by 39 brass. Hey, awesome. Wasn't cheap, wasn't as cheap as it used to be, but it wasn't bad either. So I grabbed 200 rounds of that, and I got primers. Didn't think much about powder at the time because I got a bunch of powders. I got the dyes, kind of ready to go. And that 308, 311 thing was in the back of my mind. So I'm reading last night, and first of all, I don't really shoot 300 blackout, so I don't have a great powder for it. But I did have one that was listed in the manual, and that was accurate 2015. Now, I don't know, there's a quarter pound of it in here or so, so enough to work up a few loads maybe. And I have some bullets. I saw some other ones that I thought might work. But I didn't have any 123 or 122 or 124 grain. So while I was there, they did have one choice that I thought was interesting. Let me show you. They were Hornady VMAX 30 caliber, 110 grain. And nice bullet. It's got their red tips, flat base, nice little bullet. And I thought, 110, kind of interesting. Maybe we can really ramp this thing up and get some speeds cooking. And if I look in the book, you can get this thing going, I think, over 3,000 feet per second. So that might be kind of neat, right? It's 308, but I wasn't thinking much about it. And I knew I had some stuff at home that would probably work. For instance, I had, let me show you these. These were Nosler partitions. So these are basically hunting rounds. I think I had bought them maybe for deer season. I was thinking about it. They're 150 grain 308 Spitzer bullets. Soft point. Nice bullet. 150 grain would be cool, you know, try some different things. And I figured no problem there. And then I had these, which there's a bunch of recipes for these. These are Hornady SST 150 grain. And these are just a nice bullet. They got a boat tail on them. They got a cantilever. I load them for my AR-10, a bunch of stuff. And they work great in the AR-10. And I thought, man, that'd be cool in the AK, right? So I figured, I'm all good to go. We'll start loading some up. And then I sort of remembered the 308, 310 thing. So I'm like, well, I'm sure these guns are, all my AKs, I mean, I'm sure they're, you know, 311, 310, whatever. But to be safe, I figured, you know what? I'm going to slug the barrel. So I had some, I don't even know what brand they were, but some 36 caliber round balls, and I was hoping I had one down like 315 or something like that, but the smallest I had was 375. So I put it on the crown of the barrel, and with a soft hammer I kind of tapped it down till it was flush, then took a cleaning rod and pounded it through. So when you slug a barrel like that, this is what you get. It comes out looking like a little bullet, a little slug, right? And you can see the lands and the grooves and all. And so I could measure it easier. I colored in the grooves with a black marker and measured across them. And sure enough, it was 311 right on the head on all of them. So, okay, we know where we're at there. By the way, after boy, my phone's going nuts. After I was done slugging it, here's the ring that was left over of excess lead, if you can see that. So easy to do if you ever want to do it. Won't hurt the barrel, nothing. Matter of fact, it got some copper out for me. But it's a good way on any rifle to, you know, check out your what your barrel really is sized at. Might come in handy for some Mausers or something like that. So keep it in the back of your head. Anyhow, so we know we're there. I know I can shoot 308s, but we all want the best accuracy possible. But I don't have any. So tonight I'm going to spend a little time looking for some bullets in 311. There's some word about plated berries bullets. seem to work okay, but they're just plated, they're not jacketed, so you're supposed to keep them under, I think it's like 15 or 1900 feet per second, but a lot of guys report they're not having any problems with them running them 2100 feet per second. So I'm going to check those out. I've used berries before to great success. They're great bullets for the money, for plinking, for range use, practice, whatever. And I use 9mm, 45 long Colt, bunch of stuff. Great bullets. So I'll probably try that out. But I'm going to try to get my hands on, they make some SSTs in the 311, I believe, and a few other rounds. We'll see what I can get for full metal jacket too, because that's what I'd really like. So, started looking at some recipes and different things, and I'm looking through all my reloading manuals. If you guys aren't into reloading, one of the best and first purchases you should get is a reloading manual. And this is not going to show any reloading here. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just talking about the subject and showing you kind of where to start. So I looked through Hornady, I looked through Nosler, a bunch, all of them. And really the only ones to have even the caliber listed was Hornady. Nosler doesn't have the caliber even listed. Sierra had a little bit on it. Nobody else, nobody, not even, what's the other big one? The Lee manual, nothing listed in there at all. And they usually have everything, but that does kind of skew toward cast bullets a little bit, which is a whole nother story. But I'm looking through the recipes here, and I'll just give you a couple ideas so you guys know where we're looking ballistically a little bit. So these 150 grain SSTs, these are, I love these bullets in that AR-10 I told you. Just really nice bullets, not a ton of money. They perform well. There's recipes in here, and this 215 powder it may or may not be the best choice. Probably isn't the best, but let's just say with that powder I have laying around here, where is it? 222, here it is. So I can get that bullet at the top end with 27, I don't have my glasses with me here. Let's see, sorry guys, my eyes have gone to crap. 27 grains of that 215 powder. We'll get that thing cooking along at about 2200 feet per second. I believe they fired that out of an SKS barrel. That's the top end, so maybe I'd start somewhere around 2,000 feet per second, 24 grains. They've got powder recipes for Accurate 1680, IMR 4198, Alliant RL7, a bunch of different powders in here. And then there's also, who makes it? The BLK 300, the blackout 300 blackout powder, specially made for it. That's a good powder, and a bunch of others. Anyhow, they've got recipes all the way from that 110 VMAX, which I thought would work well. And that VMAX is interesting, guys. Listen to this. You can get that thing rolling all the way up with Accurate 1680 powder, 28.5 grains, 2,600 feet per second. So what's kind of the top end with STEELCASE that I've seen, at least? Somewhere around 2,200. There may be some other stuff out there, but 2,200 is kind of the norm. 1,900 to 2,200, somewhere in there. 2,600 is the top end. I mean, heck, you're middle of the range at 2,300 feet per second. And certainly safe, most likely at 24 and 2,500 feet per second at 26.6 grains. So really, really cool. Now they do make a 123 grain SST bullet, and it is 310, so it'll be perfect for the AKs. They also make a soft point in 310 as well. So those are the bullets I'm probably going to try to get my hands on. And this is not going to be to replace STEELCASE, guys. It's going to be kind of a add-on, and maybe we'll work some accuracy loads or stuff like that. Stuff to have fun with at the range. See if we can tighten groups up, that kind of thing. But it takes the pressure off our other ammo and our steel case and store-bought brass case ammo. So just thought it was really kind of cool. So let's go through this real quick. You know, you're thinking, well, steel case, you took it for granted, right? And here's the wolf I had out here, 123 grain, full metal jacket, I'm sorry, 122 grain, and never thought much of it, right? So I got out the trusty bullet puller, which I've never done before on one of these rounds, and I pulled the bullet. For those of you that don't know, you put the bullet in here, you whack it a few times, kinetic energy pulls the bullet out, the powder dumps and is saved in there, and you're left with your casing, your bullet, and your powder. So here's the powder. I haven't measured how much it weighs, but it's an extruded powder they're using. Very fine extruded powder, much finer than, say, a Varget or something. And I'm not sure how much it weighs, but whatever. And here's the bullet, full metal jacket. It is open at the base on these, and your steel case and your primer, which these aren't like the primers we use here. They're a little bit different. The Berdan primed use a different system to hold them in. They're a pain to get in, pain to get out. It can be done, but you want to use American brass like the Winchester large rifle primer, no problem. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to measure this sucker and see what this thing comes in at. Now, you know, typically you buy bullets, a 30 caliber, it says 308. Okay, it's a 308, or you buy a, you know, 223 bullet like this, and it says its actual measurement is 224. Okay, I believe them. I never really measure them. And it could be that maybe my cheap-ass micrometer is off a bit here, but it's been, seems to be fine in every other respect. And I measure it, and right now it's coming in at 309, okay? So they're not 311, these are 309. And then I figured, well, I'll measure one of these 308, at least what it says on the package, 308. So I measure that, and it comes in at 307. So either my caliper's off by 1,000th or something, but so it is a little bigger. And as you can see, once I pull it, and granted the neck's been probably untensioned a bit from that, but I can pretty much put that bullet in by hand all the way in if I want to. And then the 308 bullet goes in, but still got tension to go up until the cannelure, which is that little, those striations that go around, that the crimp roll goes in to hold these in for semi-automatic rifles, so they don't go further in. So seems like it'll fit. I checked the brass, this Winchester brass. My thought was, is it neck sized at the 311 or the 308? That could make a difference, right? Maybe I'm not going to be able to load what I want, or I have to redo the neck size or whatever. And I measured it, and it seems like it's fine for 308, but the solution to that is, and thank God for RCBS, and there's one other brand too, but and I'll go over this real briefly for those of you that don't know much about reloading. So your reloading die set for rifles comes like this. There's two dies, okay? And the first die has a pin sticking out the bottom. It's a decapping die and sizing die. So when you start out with your usually used brass, you're going to put the brass in your press. The die is mounted in there. You bring the lever down, it goes up. That pin pops the primer out, the spent primer out the bottom, and the internal machining or sizing of this die squeezes that brass, or well, brass back into shape, right? So it's got all the measurements and dimensions of a brand new piece of brass once you pull it out. And that inner neck or case mouth measurement comes from another piece on this pin part that runs through the middle. There's a case mouth die in there that, as you pull the lever down, goes in and out of the mouth of the case and resizes it between the squeezing on the outside and that little mandrel on the inside. It creates the size of this. Well, don't you know, our CBS includes in the package another one of those little mandrels. So great, they have one for the 311, 310, and one for the 308, so I'm all set. It came installed with the 308 in it, and this brass, after measuring it, looked like it was 308. So I ran it through anyways, and sure enough, it was fine for 308. So for now, I can load these 308 bullets. We can do some testing, see if I can get 308 bullets, which will be a tiny, tiny bit loose, not rattling around loose in there. They engage the lands, but not as tight as a 311, okay? So inherently probably a bit less accurate. We're gonna try and see if we can't get a recipe, get lucky off the bat, and maybe I get some, God, I'd be happy with 3-4 inch groups at 100 yards. So we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna load up some of these 150s, some of those 110s. We're gonna bring the chrono to the range, and we're gonna see what happens. I told you I slugged the bore, and the first one I grabbed to slug the bore was this beauty. And then I thought, oh, that's not what I need. That's a 5.56 AK. Yep, guys, this is, I was gonna save this for another video, but this is our SAM 5, and for kicks, I got a beautiful original Bulgarian salmon stock and grip, and this gorgeous Bakelite forend. So look at that, really nice. Now it's probably not going to stay on this rifle, even though it looks so nice. But you know why it's not going to stay on this rifle? I'll tell you why. Hopefully I can find one here. But my luck, no. Nope, not here. I think it needs to go on a 7.62 gun, because then a Bakelite mag, and man, we're in business, right? Super, super nice. Just cool to have the original Bulgarian setup, right? And usually you see these stocks, they're in such crap condition, all banged up, beat up. This one's got some little rubs, you know, from storage marks, but really all in all nice, and the grip is just mint, absolutely mint, as is this forend. It's not one of these that somebody's redone, sanded and shellacked and all that. Watch out, the really nice ones you see are usually that. This one is super nice, and look at the coloring in there, just beautiful. Love it. I love Bakelite. So I thought you guys would like to see that, but I almost grabbed that to slug because I've been shooting it a lot lately, and then I went, oops, a daisy, can't do that one. So I grabbed this sucker, and you guys have not seen this in a long time. This is 7.62 by 39. It's an Arsenal, and it's a 107 R. Just R stands for rail, the scope rail. Not an FR, F is the folding. 107 fixed stock, essentially. And we made this rifle a shooter, something that was comfortable for us. We put a minimalist stock on it with a buffer tube adapter, buffer tube, and a minimalist stock. So essentially the same thing. Kept the factory grip, factory mags, and we changed out the lower handguard to a TDI Arms aluminum handguard. Love it because of the M-locks, and it allows us to put things on there. And a cheese grater top cover. Doesn't do anything for it, just for looks, they're kind of cool. And a Meridian Defense muzzle brake to replace the factory one. Essentially does the same job, I just like them. And a Naris Regulate side mount. And oh yeah, can't forget the ALG trigger. Love those. The Reset is so short, so crisp, so nice. But perfect candidate to slug the barrel, just to double check it. And that's what we did. And sure enough, it was the 311 like I thought it would be. So this is what we used for it. And I thought, why not? Haven't brought this rifle out in a while. Kind of a just cool little package. Super, super, super lightweight. I mean, you can toss this thing around with one hand. Really nice. Anyhow, that's what we did. So I'm going to play with these loads. I'm definitely going to get the 311s. We're going to try those Berry's plated bullets. And I'm going to try the 308s. If we can get the 308s going, guys, these VMAX ballistic tip bullets are incredible. Awesome, very accurate in my 308 bolt action, in our AR-10. Just good stuff. So if I could get them to run good in the AKs, hey, why not? And like I said, not here to replace STEELCASE, nothing like that. It's just in addition to. It's to augment our other things, what we have stored away, what's still available, what will be coming in STEELCASE from some of these manufacturers that jump in, and God bless Palmetto State for it. And that kind of thing. It's, you know, a multitude of things that will help in the long run. And we learn something and have fun in the process. Learn what works and what doesn't. And heck yeah, a lot of fun. So I'm excited to get this brass loaded up and develop some loads. And I did load up 10 rounds of the 150 grain VMAX bullets. And in this fresh Winchester brass, I want to show you a close up here. Wait till you see these. These just look so good. Look at that. Imagine that coming out of your AK, huh? It looks like super high tech for AK, right? I loaded them all the way out to the max length, to where they'll work in the mag and everything. And can't wait to get out there and chuck those heavier bullets downrange and see what happens. It's pretty much, the case is pretty much filled with the powder charge I used. And we'll see how they run. So it's going to be interesting. These will be our first ones, we'll see, and then I'm going to load up some of these 110 grainers and see how those, I'm really interested to see those. Should be a lot flatter shooting, and should be a lot of fun. The other cool thing is, told you, we're going to get into some cans here real quick, and I can start loading subsonics, and that'll be a ton of fun. So won't have to buy those, they're expensive. I can load them cheap and go from there. So pretty cool. I am a bit anxious to see what the guns do to the brass, because the brass isn't cheap, and I'm hoping it doesn't dent the crap out of it. Obviously STEELCASE usually isn't a problem. It's a bit harder, like it's annealed. It doesn't wear any more than brass, but for some reason on some guns where I traditionally would shoot steel and then I'd go to brass, like our IWI Tavor bends the crap out of it. Matter of fact, this gun bends the crap out of 223 brass. I like to shoot STEELCASE out of it, and we happened to, on the same trip, find a whole bunch of Tula 223 ammo. So we got a couple hundred rounds of that. It was only like $7 a box, I want to say. $7.95, something like that. 223, 55 grain, full metal jacket, STEELCASE. I like shooting STEELCASE 223 out of these guns that chew up my brass. I just feel like I'm wasting it. Anyhow, wanted to show you this, thought you guys might find it cool. If you've already been experimenting with some of this, please jump in the comments, let us know what worked, let us know what didn't. If you have some ideas or something you've heard about that works well or didn't work, let us know. While we're experienced reloaders, we don't have a lot of experience with 7.62 by 39, so it's going to be a learn as you go project. But I bet we pretty quickly come to find a few good loads, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a ton of fun. I've been reloading a ton of 5.56 223 and having a blast with that stuff, literally, and developing loads for our DMR and just having a good time, and saving all that stuff we got put away for a rainy day. So let us know what you're doing. Let us know if you've got other solutions or what your plan is, sort of. And like I said, anything to do with reloading the 7.62 by 39. If you've stayed with us this long, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Channel's back to growing again. We're having a good time. You guys, I hope, are having a good time checking out our live streams on Tuesday nights. They're a ton of fun, and we've been doing much more of a question answer type thing. I go through a few events of the week and then kind of do a question and answer thing and turn it over to you guys and answer your questions and talk about the subjects you want to talk about, revolving around AKs and frankly everything else in the firearm world. So come join us, usually about 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights. We're having a ton of fun. Check out our Facebook, our Instagram, our website is sort of getting going. And please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. You know, like, dislike, it fuels that algorithm, so it helps. And if you subscribe, you can hit that little box down here. Please also click the bell so you get notifications, and that'll be awesome. We really appreciate it, guys. Everything you guys do, and it's so much fun to be getting deep and down a rabbit hole on AKs again. This is something I really needed to do and wanted to do. It's going to be cool. Hopefully we can get some super accurate stuff and really maybe compare rifles. All kinds of cool videos will come out of this. So yeah, thanks again, guys. You guys stay safe, carry, watch out for each other, and as always, Rockford Ordnance out.